Hey, what up, guys? Doing another What's Next. This one is on former two-division world champion Rances Barthelemy. Barthelemy hasn't fought since April of last year when he moved back down to 135. Actually, Barthelemy is currently tied for 10th for me at 140 pounds. That's junior welterweight. He hasn't fought since last April when he moved back down to 135 and challenged for the vacant WBA regular belt against Robert Easter Jr. And actually got a main event on Showtime, surprisingly. And what a stinker. This is maybe the worst fight of the year, one of the worst fights I've ever seen. Neither guy was willing to engage, and they barely threw any punches at all between the two of them. And it ended up being a draw, and I'm glad because it was a fucking horrible fight. Well, Barthelemy still gets opportunities. He was scheduled to come back in March or April, and he's actually coming back in April, and was supposed to fight on Showtime on an undercard and go for the interim title at 140 against Albert Puello. But that fight got scrapped due to the coronavirus pandemic. He probably is still in line to fight Puello next. Puello's undefeated. Haven't really heard of him. But that looks likely next for the interim belt. He's currently ranked number 3 by the WBA. But let's take a run through the top 10 and see if any other fights could be possible next or this year at all, for Barthelemy. Now, number 1 is Josh Taylor. Not going to get a shot against Josh Taylor, the undefeated IBF WBA unified champion. Not going to happen. Taylor's got a mandatory due next. He wants to try to face unified belts possibly next, or he's going to look for a bigger fight. And Barthelemy most likely not on his radar, unless Barthelemy does become interim champion, then maybe. But I'm not sure if Barthelemy would even take that fight. So we'll see. I don't see it, though. Number 2, undefeated WBC, WBO unified champ, Jose Ramirez. This fight's not happening next or anytime soon. Ramirez has 2 mandatory title fights due, and then he wants to try to become undisputed champ against Josh Taylor. So I don't see Barthelemy on his radar. Number 3 is former world champion Regis Prograis. Prograis, if he's going to stay at 140, it's only for big fights or title fights. Barthelemy isn't a big fight, and it's not a title fight, and they have different promoters, so I don't see this fight happening. Plus, Prograis looks like he's aiming towards Maurice Hooker next anyway, so yeah, this fight won't happen. Number 4 is Jose Pedraza. Jose Zepeda, former world title challenger. Not going to happen. Even, Barthelemy would just, they're promoted by different guys. Could possibly happen, I guess, but I don't think Barthelemy would take on a guy like Zepeda next, so I'm not seeing it. Number 5 is former world champion Victor Postol. Postol's going to be challenging for the vacant, for the unified world title next against Ramirez. I think he's going to come up short in that one. If he wants to jump back into it and Barthelemy's there, you never know, but at least next, I don't see Barthelemy and Postol being possible. Number 6 is a rematch against former lightweight champion Robert Easter Jr. I don't think it's going to happen next, but it could. The rematch could happen. These two guys could talk enough shit. There's not a lot of fighters in the PBC at 140. There's only a handful of them. So, and Robert Easter has already fought pretty much Barthelemy and Adrian Granados here. He just beat Granados, so he might say, "Hey, I'll go after the interim title against Barthelemy, and we'll make sure it's a fight." There's still 2 names, so I think this fight could be possible, but I'm not sure it happens next. I think it would have to be a mandatory type situation is what I'm saying. So I don't see it next, but could happen maybe towards the end of the year. Next at number 7, former WBO champion Maurice Hooker. I don't see this one. Different promoters. I think it'd be a fight they would have to make, and I think Hooker's in the same boat as Prograis. Either a big fight or a title fight. Barthelemy's neither one. Number 8 is former world champion Kira Relic, which would be a 3rd fight, a rubber match between them. I would never count it out, but I don't think Barthelemy, after getting soundly beat in the 2nd fight, I don't think he wants anything to do with Relic. And Relic looks like he could be moving up to welterweight anyway, so I don't see it. Number 9, Pablo Cesar Cano. This would be Golden Boy working with the PBC. I don't see this fight happening. I guess technically it could, but I'm not seeing it. And then Barthelemy against the other 2 guys he's tied with, which are Ivan Barianchik, the former IBF champion. Not seeing it. different promoters. I don't think he wants anything to do with a style fighter that Barianchuk has, so I'm not seeing this one. And then Adrian Granados. Now that's an interesting one. Granados is a PBC guy. He's willing to fight anybody. Barthelemy, if he were to beat Puello, why not face Granados right after that, you know? If the fight's possible. It'd be for an interim belt. Granados has never had a world title shot, but he's a banger. He loves to come fight. He's willing to fight anybody. It's a makeable fight. I do think that one could happen either next or after the Puello fight. So we'll see. So overall, that's it for Rances Barthelemy against the top 10 possibilities. What do I think he's going to do next? I think he's probably going to stay with the Puello fight. I really do think that's a big-time possibility and likelihood. It's an interim belt. He goes straight into it. Other possibilities, I could see Adrian Granados and a rematch with Robert Easter, but I really think he's going to go after the undefeated Puello, test himself there. I would favor him to win, but, you know, I've never seen Puello, but Puello's record really doesn't show much to me. I think experience, and he's a good boxer still, Barthelemy, but you got to wait and see what he decides to do. So that's it. That's the what's next on former 2-division world champion Rances Barthelemy. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed it. True Boxing. Been here with the truth.